Well, I started in 1961. I was 17 and I went up there as a cadet nurse, which was a general dog's body actually.
Well, I can remember starting up at the St James's. I was probably about 17 and a half, but I was allowed to go on the wards, kind of a probation nurse.
I had done my training in Merthyr, and then I came up to St James's in 1964, and I worked on the female surgical ward.
I was 18. I went straight into the school. I thought, of course, in my mind that it was going to be something like Emergency Ward 10, and I was going to look glamorous. And really, I was so shocked when I did go to the wards, because then I came against the bosses, and you had to learn to be tough-skinned.
I didn't know what was happening. All these nurses I thought were very clever, knowing everything they were doing, you know. Until I realised there was a routine to what they were doing, and they were doing certain things at certain times, and from then on I loved it.
We did know that it was called T Bryn, and the nickname was the Spike, and it was a union before it actually came into a hospital.
It was a good hospital, with good standards, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
You know?
But mine, it was different to what it is today. It was far more stricter. Uniform was immaculate. It was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it, Barbara?
Beautiful, yeah, with the white aprons and the
Yeah.
caps, all the linen caps and the linen aprons and your striped dress. Then you went in, once you passed your exams, you went into a special uniform, which was green. And you had epaulets according to your status.
Besides the written, it was the practical, which you had to go on the ward in those days to do your practical amongst the patients.
And then every night you'd have the matron coming around and doing a ward round, which everybody used to be terrified of. Oh my God, we've got you coming now, what are we going to say? And you'd have to know absolutely every patient, their ages, what they were in there for.
And in the night, when it was on night, you sat in the middle of the ward and you had a little lamp low down. Now can you imagine it, two nurses sitting in the middle of the ward whispering to one another like this, but you knew everything that went on in that ward.
Everything. Well,
yeah.
you know, somebody would wake up, somebody would be in pain, and you were there. Anything could happen, but you were there on the spot with them.
In St James's, everybody knew everybody else. You know everybody from the matron down to the porter, the domestics. You just knew everybody.
Because of working up at St James's, you know so many people, but you always go into the town and you can guarantee somebody would come up to you and say, I can remember you nursing me up at St James's.
No, you had lots of characters then, and you don't seem to get. I suppose it's because they were in hospital longer then, and you got to know them more, whereas now they're in and out, aren't they? You know, and you don't get to know the patients the same, whereas years ago they were in for so long that you did.
They were good days, they were happy days. They were days.
We had good.
They had
good
the
training.
Nightingale wards.
All Nightingale wards.
I loved the mortuary. I did. I loved it. Mr. Thomas was the mortuary man, and I just technician, and I just loved the mortuary, and I could have made a career out of it if I'd known. And I think I would have been very happy being a mortician.
That nurse, and I think at St James's years ago, did have a lasting friendship. It did have, like, there's all ages here, and we were all ages, as the molds and the young ones. But once you made a friendship working together at St James's Hospital, that friendship had gone for life.
We go to computers, Julie goes to bowls, I joined the bowls. And I'm going to rejoin again this year.
Oh, I'm no bowler, no.
It's just, as you say, we still meet up. Now we're going to our computer lessons. We were being taught all together up at St James's. Now we're taught all together at a computer class. And it's a kind of a socialising as well as educating ourselves then.
Yeah. Indeed.
I don't know that it's for me.
Indent, the first line using the tab key.
Where's Indent, bang? When we went to Neville Hall, when it came up that St James's was shut, and of course everybody was sad because they'd done a lot of work up there. I mean, when you look back now, we really knew nothing about it. But you had to go for an interview to see why you wanted to stay in Tredegar. That was all just a cover-up, I think, really, because to Neville Hall, we had to go. There was no choice.
But no, it was the end of an era, I think, when they closed St James's. You know, we were all gutted because it wasn't the same. I mean, it wasn't the same in Neville Hall, was it? Not
No,
really, because you
no.
didn't get to know people on the other wards then.
Yeah. Moultrie is now a chicken house. My heart goes out of this. My second home.
Well, to me, St James's was my life because I was a young girl. It's the only job I've ever enjoyed doing. As I say, I went there from 18 and didn't retire until I was in my 60s. So St James's was my life.
Well, it was very important to me because I made so many friends there, you know, I mean, and I loved the job I was doing.
I was a nurse. I wanted to become one of the best nurses. We all tried to aspire to that, and I think we really did.
To the community, well, it served the community, didn't it? Like we said, it was Tredegar, and Tredegar was St James's.